Okay, now a lot of classes in Australia send home spelling lists. And because we don't really use a brain training approach here, people tend to use something called look, cover, say, whatever. So it's kind of like, that actually doesn't work for most brains. It's certainly not the most, it's not the quickest way to learn the words. Now let's say they came home with this word. So not only are you going to think, what does it mean? Put it in a sentence or what have you. I want you to rethink spelling. And I want you to think, this isn't about being able to spell this word. This is about using this as an opportunity to wire the brain for spelling. It's also going to help with your reading. And it's to wire the brain for coding. So let me show you what we're going to do. And I want you to do this with any words that your child comes home with as spelling words, as spelling lists. You don't have to do them all in one night. You might choose one or two. And to start off with, the technique might sound a little bit weird. But actually, as you become more and more used to it and you start really exploring the links between what we say and what we put down on paper, the easier spelling and reading will be, and it'll actually be a lot of fun. Now, exorbitantly. Now, if we don't know how to say this, let's say we had a child whose parents couldn't read this word, let's say. So what we need to do first of all is make sure that every single child knows when they get home how to pronounce it. So let's see how we do this. Okay, so we'll have this word on a piece of paper. They will type it in here. And they're going to click search and then it'll come up. And that's because I spelled it incorrectly. Exorbitant. Okay, so let's have a look. So it's here. So we get children used to the fact that they can go here and they can click on this.
Exorbitant. 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 Exorbitant.
Now, this doesn't mean this is the way that they say it. What matters is how they say it. But if they don't know, and this is a word they're probably not going to use out in the playground, then it helps to hear. And what I'd like you to do if you're in Australia or England is listen to the English pronunciation.
Exorbitant.
Exorbitant. Now, they're doing the last bit very quickly. Exorbitant. In fact, they say it as quickly as I do. Exorbitant. Exorbitant. Now, I prefer you to actually do it in the classroom before you send them home. So tell the child how it's pronounced. The same as any time you're giving a spelling list, a spelling test, you must also always make sure the child has heard what you've said. Doesn't matter if they don't know what the word is or how. At least if you tell them how it's pronounced, then you give their brains the chance of actually being able to spell the word. So,
exorbitant.
Exorbitant. And we can see there what it means if they can actually read the description. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to ignore that. That's the print. We're going to think, how we say it translate to what's here. But first of all, we're going to let our brains actually figure it out. Now, we do something called duck hands, and that just means that it's a multi-sensory way of getting the brain to actually identify what those sounds are, going left to right. So, X, or, but, it, nt, or e. Now, I've just done exactly what I say don't do. Don't map with what you know. So you know how to spell it, but do it as if you don't. So I know it's an X, but actually that X represents two speech sounds. It represents the k and the s. So in the first stage when we're listening for the sounds, we should really have split it pure. So X, or, but, it, nt, or e. But I know it's an X, so I put that k and the s together. Don't do that. Make sure children listen for the sounds and then work out how they map. That's a great time to then say, oh, well, I heard the k, s. And look at this is represented by the X. Because think about when we're spelling the word ducks. D, a, k, s. But this time the k is represented by the CK, S. So explore this. Now what we then do is we try and do it with lines. So it's a line for every sound. Eggs, ox. Depends on how you say X, orb, it, nt, or e. Oh, sorry. It might help if I go this way. X, orb, it, nt, or e. You notice I didn't try and make it fit. I'm saying, how do I say it? X, orb, it, nt, or e. exorbitantly. And you might do that a few times. You might spend 5 minutes on actually working out exorbitantly. Now, if I'm in a class, then we will all work out together. Have we all got 11? Why not? We discuss it. Anyway, then we would look at the word. And then we would map. So then we would think, right, the S sound, what's going to go on there? X, O, B, I, T, and my brain thinks, oh, okay, so that's a picture of there, not a, because we don't say exorbitantly. Exorbit or E. So actually, even though that's a long one, that's actually a really easy one to split, to map. Some of them are not as easy. So we're telling the brain, okay, so the word that I said, exorbitantly, that's how it mapped. Exorbitantly. You use every sound and every letter. There's nothing left over. There's no sounds that aren't missed, whatever. Exorbitantly. Okay, so then you tell the brain, okay, so exorbitantly, so now we're going to follow the sound, say the word, exorbitantly. Now I find if you get a rhythm in that, now that's not syllables, because if we start doing syllables, we're going to start putting things together, and we want the brain to see where those splits are for the individual sounds. Exorbitantly. So I'm thinking, what's my brain going to think's tricky? Probably that there. I'm going to remember that sound was actually an A. So let's do it again. Exorbitantly. X. And if you've got a child, if you've got a class, if you've got a child who's using SSP at home, ask the teacher, if it's a long word, please can they have more time to do their lines and their numbers so they can get their brains organised. Now some children, especially if it's a shorter word, they might not do the numbers, but actually if you're starting out on this, please do, because what we then start to do is play the piano, play the word. Tell me what you're going to play on 4. X, or B. So we're going to play a B. Let's have a look. There's the B. There's the picture of B. I say B and take a picture of it with my speech sound camera. There's the picture of B. It's why we call it speech sound pics. It's pictures of speech sounds. So I might say play it. What do I play on number 8? X, or B, it, Let's have a look. Yes, we did the I might say to them, where did we play the E? And remember, these are sounds. X, or, but it, or E. So we played it there. So what's that? That's the picture of E. That's not the picture of E. That is his name. That's the letter. But that's not a picture of E, because these are pictures of sounds. We don't go E exorbitantly. We go X. So there, that's a picture of E. And as soon as the brain starts to figure that out, your child is going to read and spell so much more quickly. Exorbitant, so we'll go X, or, now supposing they've forgotten there where we've got up to, let's go back and play it again. Exorb, exorbitantly, exorbit, oh, let me remember, it wasn't that one, which my brain thought it might be, it's that one. Exorbit, what was that? E. Okay, so you did that a couple of times. And then, of course, you're going to write it. You're going to say the sounds as you go. So when you come to the spelling test, the child might actually just write it. But I want them to be able to whisper to themselves or, you know, whatever. Give the child every chance to get the word right. So exorbitantly, we really want them to be able to go exorbitantly, so that their brains can hear those sounds. And we do that with everything. We do that with sight words or everything. Ed. So the brain sees. Ed. What about toot? Ooh. They see, the brain sees it as to ooh. It doesn't matter, and that's why you can see the confusion if you just do phonics teaching, because when would you teach that like that? When would you teach that as an etc.? So, but we have to teach these coded sight words 440 are coded in the duck levels within SSP alongside your phonics teaching. So every single word in SSP is coded. The only words that you can't code are these ones, because the word otten doesn't map, and that one. Every other word can be coded. So let's think of sight words. Anything. Her. Is that a sight word? Her. Ows. Everything is used. Picture of her. X. Orb. It. Aunt. Or a. X. Orbit. And the brain is seeing. That's why when we code, we do black, grey, black, grey. X. Orbit. Aunt. Or e. Or e. Sorry, I did a little one there. So we get, when they're doing it, we say, does that look right? Exorbitant. Look at all the bits. Exorbit. Does that look right? Now check it with the one we know is right. Okay, let's do it again. Exorbit. Aunt. Or e. Does it look right? Exorbit. Aunt. Or e. No, doesn't look right. Change that one. So that look right is really, really important. But also when you play it back, the word, that follow the sound, say the word is really important for reading. Brilliant. So say the word first if you know it, and then sound it if you don't.
Commence.
Yes.
Overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. Circumstances. Destiny. Urge. Labradors.
Good try. If you change this bit to instead of lab into a different one.
Labradors.
Labourers. Labourers. Have you ever heard of the word labourers? I think that was really good sounding there. Labourers. I'll ask you that one later.
Labourers.
Yeah, that's right. Labourers. Labourers.
Exhausted.
Yes.
Exhausted.
Yes.
Trudging. Refrigerator.
Now something else that really helps is to use the spelling clouds. So you can find the cloud for every sound in the word or just one. Here is the cloud for the or. So if we were listening for the X or but it or E, we might look at the cloud for the or part, or have a look at the cloud for the E part. Whatever, it really doesn't matter. What we're doing is showing the brain how the speech sounds link with their representations, but also allowing them to see others. So we're not teaching clouds, we're never teaching the clouds. The clouds are used for exploratory learning and for investigating when we're investigating words. Now it's also really important for the brain that you do this with sight words as well. So if you've got younger kids not writing exorbitant or whatever, then do it with your sight words. Do it with any words you can, because it really helps the brain. And the only thing to remember is when two sounds are rolled together, split them for spelling. So it's not frog, it's f-r-o-g. Here's the beginning of one of the brain training videos for learning sight words. Hi boys and girls, it's Miss Emma. We're going to learn to follow the sounds say the word and also to spell these words. And we're going to use our duck hands. Let me show you what we're going to do. You'll see the word went. 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 So you'll hear my voice. And then on the next one,
what I want you to do is use your duck hands whilst you're looking at the lines and numbers, and you're going to say the sounds with me. Duck hands, look at the lines. W-e-n-t, went. Then you'll write it on your whiteboard. Just the word, no lines, or in your book. But as you're writing it, I want you to say the sounds. W-e-n-t, went. Do not use letter names. It's not W-E-N-T, it's W-E-N-T as you're writing the word. That's really important.